What is going on, guys? Welcome back. In this video today, we're going to take a look at how to build Slack bots in Python. We're going to keep it very simple. It's not going to be a full crash course exploring all the different aspects. It's going to be focused on building an MVP. So a Slack bot that can communicate, it can run commands, and also we're going to connect it to an LLM so that we can see how to build more intelligent Slack bots in Python. I think this is a very useful skill to have because it allows you to automate certain things in a very convenient way. So if you like this video, let me know by hitting a like button and subscribing. But now let us get right into it. Alright, so we're going to learn how to build Slack bots in Python today, and as I already mentioned in the introduction, this is going to be focused on simplicity and speed today, so we're going to go right into it. We're going to focus on getting results quickly. We're not going to explore all the different aspects. This is not going to be an in-depth course. This is about getting a bot running and playing around with it as quickly as possible. So what you need to have already is a Slack account. You want to log into your Slack account, you want to create a workspace, or you want to use an existing one if you have one. And that's the only thing that I'm not going to show today. So I expect you to be able to set up a Slack account in general, just as a user, and to be part of a workspace where you can invite people, or you have the permission to add a bot, basically. And once you have this, all you have to do is you have to go to the following page, which is api.slack.com/apps. You can also go to Google and just type Slack API, then you're going to be taken to this application page. Of course, log in, and then all you need to do is you need to click on Create New App. Now, since we're going for the most minimal example here, we're going to start doing it from scratch. So we're not going to use a manifest. We're going to start with this option here. We're going to give it a name. Let's say this is going to be our tutorial bot. And then we can pick a workspace that we want to later on deploy the bot in. In my case here, I have a workspace called Neural 9. This is where I want to create the application. Then I'm going to click on Create App here. And now here we have a bunch of credentials that for our use case, we're not going to need. So this is client ID, app ID, client secret, signing secret. There are use cases where you're going to need these, but for what we're going to do today, basically operating a bot, we're not going to need these credentials. We're going to have to create other credentials and use them. Now, the first thing we want to do is we want to enable sockets. So we're going to go to socket mode here in the left sidebar, and we're going to enable it by pressing this button here or toggling the switch, enable socket mode. This is just necessary for the bot to work. We need to also give the connections write permission here. So if for any reason this is not listed here, go to add scope and add connections write. Otherwise, just go with the default. And we're going to give this now the socket token as the token name. So generate. And this here now is the first thing that you actually need to save. So what you want to do is you want to copy this. Of course, keep the secret. This is a secret token that allows you to control stuff. So you don't want to share it. You don't want to lose it. Copy it, and we're going to save it in a .env file. So for this, you just want to navigate to a directory that you want to be working in. You can either do that in a terminal, or if you want to, you can just open the file browser, navigate there, and create a new file. In my case, that's going to be the tutorial directory. And in here, I'm going to create now a new file called .env. So I'm going to use NeoVim here. If you use something like VS Code, Notepad++, Atom, I don't know what editors people use nowadays, but basically, you just create a file called .env, and then you place the token here. So Slack socket token. You can also use a different name. Just make sure that you later on use the same token name in the code. So you want to refer to the same name, Slack socket token, when you're coding in Python. So save this, and then we can go back. So now this is done, we want to go and create a bot token as well. So we're going to go here to OAuth and permissions. And in here, we're going to scroll down and go to scopes. And specifically, we're going to go to bot token scopes, because our bot needs to have the ability to write in chat. So what we're going to do is we're going to say add an OAuth scope, and we're going to say chat::write. That is going to give our bot the ability to send messages as this bot. This is then automatically saved, so we don't need to do anything else. Now, in addition to this, we need to also subscribe to events, because we want our basic bot to be able to do stuff like I send a message to it and it can react to the message. So what we're going to do is we're going to say event subscriptions in the left sidebar. We're going to enable events. And down here, we're going to subscribe to bot events. So when something happens, we want to be able to react to it and basically have a hook in our Python code. So I'm going to say here, add bot user event. And the event is basically when I write a message into a channel. So message channels or channels history, message channels. That is the event. So basically, why do I do this? Because I want my bot to be able to react to certain messages. When I say a certain keyword, the bot should pick it up and say, hey, this user texted something, I need to respond to that. We can only do that if we subscribe to the respective event. So save the changes here. And then the final thing that we do before creating the token is we're going to add a / command. I'm just going to do a very basic addition to show you how this works. So the idea is we can talk to our bot by just sending messages or by using certain keywords, but we can also use commands. For example, /at and then 2 numbers. That would allow me to add 2 numbers, but of course I have to implement the functionality in Python. So what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to say create new command. I'm going to say /at and the description is add 2 numbers. And let's say, for example, 1, 2 would be an example parameter or example parameters I could pass here. I'm going to save this as well. And then finally, what we need to do to get a token is we need to go back to OAuth and permissions, and we need to actually install this to our workspace, which is here in Neural 9. So OAuth tokens installed to Neural 9. This is going to put the bot onto our Slack workspace, and it's going to also give me the token for Python. Click on this, and then I can say allow. You can see I get a notification here that this worked. And down here, I also get the OAuth token. So this is the bot user OAuth token. Copy this as well and add it also to the .env file. So here, Slack bot token is equal to, and then the token. And that is basically now our setup. I have my .env file here with the 2 keys, and we have a Slack workspace where we have a tutorial bot now that joined the workspace, and now we're going to program the functionality. Now, how you set up the project is up to you. I like to use UV as my package manager. You can just use your basic Python installation. You can use venv or virtual env. I'm just going to go and say UV init. This is going to create a UV project. You don't have to do this, but I would recommend it because that's how modern projects usually work. And then what we do is we install the packages that we're going to need. We're only going to need 2 packages today, which is python.env to load the keys from the .env file into the environment. And the second thing is, of course, the Slack package, which is slack-bolt. So I'm going to say here UV add slack-bolt and also python-.env. If you're not using UV, you say pip install or pip3 install. So run this command, and then we can open up the main py file, which is created here by default. I'm going to clear it, so we start with a blank file. So let's go into full screen now and start with the imports. I'm going to import OS so that I can use environment variables. I'm also going to say from .env import load.env, and then we're going to import the Slack stuff from Slack bolt import app, and then from Slack bolt.adapter.socket mode import socket mode handler, which is what we're going to use to start the bot. So then, of course, the first thing is we want to load the keys from the environment file into the actual environment. So we just call load.env, and then we create our bot application. So app is equal to app. And now we use the token already. So token is going to be os get env, and then that is going to be the Slack bot token. So the app is basically the bot. We're going to need the socket token for the socket mode handler later. And now the simplest thing that we can do is we can just make a simple hello reaction functionality. So I can say whenever the message hello is sent, you can just respond with hello as well, or hello username, which would be even more interesting. And all we need to do to implement this functionality is we need to say @app, like a Flask route basically, or a route in most web frameworks, and then .message. And here we can just put the exact string that needs to be sent for it to react. So hello, for example. And when this happens, we have a function that does something. So let's call this function hello as well. And let's say it gets the message and say here as parameters. Say is basically a function that allows us to say something, to send something back. And message is like the message object where we can also get the user that the message is from. So I'm going to say here say and then formatted string hello. And I'm going to use here an information that I can find in the message object, which is the user. But I also want to tag the user, so I'm going to use the @ symbol here and do it like this in angle brackets. So it's going to say hey or hello, in my case, Neural 9 or social, because I'm using social @ Neural 9. That is the most simple thing that we can do here. Now when I write hello, it's going to respond with hello and my username. The second minimal thing I want to show you is a / command. So app and then command. Then we need to provide the command, which is add. Now, Slack already knows that this command exists, but we need to add functionality to it. So I'm going to say here def add. And here we're not going to get the parameters. So we're not going to get number 1, number 2. We're going to get acknowledge or ack. We're going to get respond. And we're going to get command. So this is just a signature of the function for the command here. The first thing I want to do is I want to call the acknowledge, and then I want to check if I actually got the arguments as expected. I'm going to just use a try statement here. I'm going to say A and B are equal to map float. So we're going to try to typecast the parameters that we got. We're just going to apply the float function, and we're applying it to the command, but the command, of course, only gets a string. So the command is going to be the input, and then we need to split it and we need to typecast what we get as a result. So I'm going to say command text split, and then we want to apply the float type conversion onto all of the arguments. You can also do it in a more expressive way by saying AB is command text split, and then AB is again float A, float B, whatever, but like this is a one-liner. And then in the case that this works without problems, we're just going to respond. This is a function here. We're going to respond with string A plus B because our response has to be a string as well. We cannot just send a float, but it's going to be the sum of A and B, which are floats. Now, if there is a problem, we're going to say respond, use, and then add to 3. For example. Now, the final thing I want to show you is how we can react to any other message. So what if I say something, but it's not actually hello, and it's also not a slash command? What I can do then is I can say app.event, and the event is going to be a message. So if a message is sent, we're going to define a function. Let me maybe center this. Handle message event. And this is going to take body and say here as parameters. Say again is a function. So we're going to get something that is not hello and we're going to respond. So I'm just going to say in this case, what? Question mark. So these are 3 very simple use cases. That's what I mean by simple, quick, and straight to the point. We have one thing to respond to a specific type of message, one slash command, and one general event that reacts to messages. And of course, here we can analyze the body of the message. We can say if something is contained or if a certain criteria is met, feed it somewhere else. And we're going to take a look at this in the context of using LLMs here in a second, but that is the most basic setup. And the final thing that we need to do to run this now is we need to say socket mode handler. We need to pass the application and the app token, which is our socket token. So we're going to say OS get env and then socket, Slack socket token. And then this entire thing .start. This is the code for our bot. And now this is where it gets interesting because the only thing now that we need to do to work with this tutorial bot is we need to actually run this. Now I also think I need to invite the bot to the channel. So I need to say invite and then I think add tutorial bot like this to invite the bot into a specific channel. So now the tutorial bot is in tutorial. But if I say hello, for example, right now, or if I try to use add and then 1 and 2, nothing's going to happen. So the app did not respond, as you can see. But I can run this now by saying uv run main py, or if you're not using uv, Python 3 main py. And this is going to now say the Bolt app is running. The bot is now active. And if I type hello, as you can see, this bot responds with hello social. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see this better. But this is now the first thing. The second thing is I can use the add command. Let's say 20 and 30. This will respond with 50 in a different way, as you can see, because this is a command. And now if I say, actually, I think I need to tag the bot something else. Let's see if it triggers like this as well. No, okay, actually triggers on all messages sent. I think you can also listen to the mention event, but that is the simplest thing that we can do. We can react to specific messages, we can run commands, and we can react to all the other messages. Now, the next thing I want to show you is how we can connect our Slack bot to an LLM. In this case, I'm going to use the OpenAI API and connect it to GPT-4o just as a proof of concept. And we're also going to use this trigger for mentioning a bot. So we're not just going to respond to general messages, but only to when the bot is actively mentioned. Now, one thing that I already did here, I'm not going to show it on screen because I don't want to share my key, is I went into the .env file. I'm now going to open up a .env demo file to show you what I did. And I added a key in addition to the 2 Slack keys called OpenAI API key, exactly written like this. And I put a key from the OpenAI API in there. This is what you need to do for it to automatically be recognized. I did that. I'm not going to show this here now. I did it in the original .env file. Now we're going to go and install the OpenAI package as well. And of course, you can do that with LangChain, you can do that with Mistral, you can do that with Anthropic's package if there is a dedicated one. You don't have to use OpenAI. This is just one way to do it. So I'm going to say UV add OpenAI here, and then I'm going back into main py, and we're going to import from OpenAI the OpenAI class. And I'm going to say right after load.env client is equal to OpenAI. Now this load.env also loads the OpenAI API key. So after this is in the environment, and this class here, this constructor, automatically recognizes this key if it's written exactly OpenAI API key. You cannot call it something else. Otherwise you need to pass it manually here. But it automatically recognizes it and uses the OpenAI API. And now what we're going to do is we're going to replace this last function here. I'm going to say mention GPT response, maybe not the best name here, but we're going to react now to a mention. So the event here is going to be app_mention. And now we're not just going to have a body, we're going to have an event and say, and here now we want to just take the message and send it to the OpenAI API, get a response, and then say this response. So the text is going to be event get, and we're going to get the text and default to nothing. And then the response from the OpenAI API is going to be client.responses.create. The model, as I mentioned, is going to be GPT-4o, and the input is going to be equal to text. And then the response is going to be produced, and then we can just return it by saying say response output text. So that should already work out well. I can just say UV run main py. I can go back here and I can say tutorial bot, how are you? ? But of course, before we can do that, I forgot something important. We need to, of course, add this as an event to listen to. So we need to actually configure this also in the Slack API. So we go back here to our tutorial bot, and then we go to event subscriptions, and we go to subscribe to bot events, add bot user event, and then app mention is the one that we need. We're going to add this one here. We're going to save the changes. And important, it already says it here in the top. We need to reinstall the app for this to work. So we're going to get a new token. We go back here to OAuth and permissions. We're going to reinstall to Neural 9. And then I'm going to say here allow. And we're going to copy the new token and add it to our .env file. So again, I already did this. I didn't show the file, but I changed the bot token in the .env file. And now we're going to go and say UV run main py again. And I'm not sure if it's going to react to the previous one. Probably not, maybe yes, but I'm going to say now here again, how are you? And hopefully, there you go. I'm just a program, so I don't have feelings, but thanks for asking. How can I assist you today? And also I could say, write a simple recursive Fibonacci function in Python and send it here. So that is going to ask it to generate some code, and it's going to give me some code here in the Slack channel. And of course, what this means is that with this basic setup that I showed you here, you can start playing around. You can build something like a headless Claude code on a server that is controlled by a Slack message. And of course, while I'm talking here, this is not going to work if I don't mention it. So let's do it like this. But what you can do, of course, is you can connect a bunch of functionality to it. So you can say, this is going to trigger workflow, this is going to do something else. Basically, you can control stuff from Slack. You can run algorithms, you can run specific things like commands, or you can just connect it to an agent that you want to control, or to Claude Code in headless mode, whatever. You can do that with this simple blueprint. So that's it for this video today. I hope you enjoyed it and hope you learned something. If you want to see a more in-depth course on Slack or Slack bots, if you want a more detailed crash course where we go into different aspects, not just a very basic MVP prototype proof of concept thing, let me know in the comment section down below. Also, if you like this video, let me know by hitting the like button and leaving a comment in the comment section down below. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell to not miss a single future video for free. Other than that, thank you much for watching. See you in the next video, and bye.